Hello, Comic Book Jerk fans. It is the Comic Book Jerk here. You can find me down here at this Twitter address down here at the bottom. You can tickle it, you can tweet it, you can do whatever. But we've got an interesting show today for you guys. Justin is joining us back. Hello, Justin. How are you doing today? New hat.
I'm doing great. I like it. I made it. Thank you.
And writer, director, producer Brian Rosenthal is back. Say hello, Brian.
Hi.
And this week we are joined by Keith Gray, also known as Kmass. What's up, Kmass?
What up, man?
So this show is going to be totally dedicated to Harley Quinn and all the rest of the bunch in that other movie that she's in, known as Suicide Squad. So, what time is it, Justin?
It's time to kick that
disclaimer. We always do a disclaimer every week, and Justin tries his best to say it
all.
all.
Broadcast followed by the prisoners of Section 106 SA, the fair use of copyright work, including such as the progress and company's phone and any other means assisted by this section.
Trolls, don't adjust your keyboard. You're about to watch the Comic Book Jerk Show.
From the flamers and dudes who were trolling, midichlorian masterminds concocted a plan before he had it. He was complaining about those movies starring Christian Bale. Anime's manga mastermind returned again to reboot his new show with all his pudding. Like the difference in whoopies and tribbles and kibbles and bits. The story comes together like pudding. Or maybe it's worse, you might even curse the jerk for reminding you that everything's worse. In the back of your mind he says what you never could and you never should and you never would, but he could. So, and let's go. It's time to sit back and watch a Comic Book Jerk Show.
Don't call me Puddin'.
And if you guys thought that was a glitch, that was not a glitch on our end. That was definitely a lot of puddings. So, yeah, puddin'. So, I figured we would kick it off a little bit this week, and before we get into Suicide Squad spoilers, I want to talk about what happened in the news, because there's been a lot of interesting things happening in the news with this so-called Suicide Squad. Like, you know, there's people on there pretty much wanting to sue the company for it. You know, there's a lot of speculation that the movie that is released is not the original director's cut, etc. So, I mean, there's a long history of stuff going on right now as we speak.
Speaking of long history, isn't there a competition that you guys are supposed to be talking about?
Yeah, we are here to announce the winners, which I'll have to pull out my handy-dandy phone. So, this week's winner of... I guess since
2 weeks ago's winner.
Yeah. So, yeah, Will Mitchell, who was a friend of mine back in the Completely Comics days, tuned in and actually won a set of these. This will be his first Funko Pops, the Batman vs. Superman Funko Pops.
Congratulations, Will Mitchells.
Good way to start out.
And then I also have these little guys right here. And Courtney Garnett actually won these lovely figures. And then, Brian, you're supposed to send a DVD to somebody, but I can't remember who exactly was that one. So,
if that person is watching, remind us who you are so we can give you free stuff, maybe?
Yeah. Let me see if I send anybody a message here that I don't recognize. Let's see.
Terrible.
Yeah, I blame Aaron. I don't run this show, man.
Yeah,
my ship runs tight, sir. My ship runs tight.
Let's see here. I'm looking. Let's see if we can find them. Okay, Omar Axe will be receiving a Blu-ray disc.
Here's to you, Omar.
Yep. Cheers, Omar.
I've already sent Brian the address, which I'll probably have to resend because I message him like 22 times a day just so I can get him to say, "Hey, what's up, Gadd?" And I'm also
He must really not want that prize.
This isn't a sponsor, but I'm drinking the Great American Strawberry. It's not quite moonshine, but it tastes exactly like it.
Must be 21 and enjoy.
It's only 14%.
Burns like hell going down, huh?
No, it's only 14% alcohol, and I left it in my car all day, so it's like scalding hot. So.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we got that out of the way, there isn't any Funko Pop of the week, right?
No Funko Pops of the week, and if they was Funko Pops of the week, it would be Suicide Squad, but here's the reason there won't be no more Funko Pops of the week, because my whole collection is going to be given away on this show at some point, and I'm out of the Funko Pop game business, primarily because all the San Diego Comic-Con Funko Pops that I wanted was released to the general audience, and they're no longer exclusive, so I have a feeling that Funko Pop is going to become the next, like Joe, who appeared a couple of weeks ago, said, Beanie Babies. So.
Yeah, that's been said a lot.
I mean, even then, it's like they're still a lot more collectible than a Beanie Baby.
Yeah, I mean, if you collect them for
I'm
the
very
value,
happy.
Remember Tamagotchis?
I'm not
What the
collecting
fuck happened to
value,
Tamagotchis?
Tamagotchi actually has an app now.
I'm really not collecting for the value. I'm a good nerd.
Fuck yourself.
Yeah.
This show's going downhill fast.
We're not spoiler. All right, comment from Juan. Are we in spoiler territory right now? No. But this whole podcast is gonna be spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen Suicide Squad yet, you're probably going to want to log off. We're sorry, but we're talking spoilers. We're talking things we like, things we hate, and things we wish we would have seen. So,
and this
we'll be now warning to just back out now if you haven't seen Suicide Squad. I'm sorry.
Don't back out now. We haven't talked spoilers. This is exactly why I put you on this side, Justin, because you love this movie, and Brian, on the other hand, you're going to be going,
I'm not gonna.
Listen, all right, I just come to accept that Brian and I are. He's the real comic book jerk around here. He's the movie jerk.
Yeah,
he's
I know.
The movie
jerk. Yeah.
It's
true.
Good night, Juan. I'm sorry, man. I know.
I'm gonna start calling you the angry motion picture nerd.
Listen. Marvel fanboys hate me. DC fanboys hate me. What can I say? I'm a cinemaphile. All right, that's my thing. I like good movies. You know, when they make movies, I expect them to be good. It's my thing. I don't know. What can I say?
That's what happens. So
directed towards this guy. He's our
seriously, just start tarring me up, and get the bag of feathers ready.
I like your movie reviews. I mean, it's fun. I mean, I'm glad that someone isn't just sitting here, who's looking at it from a movie. I can actually trust your credibility as a movie critic because you make movies versus the guy who's sitting in his basement like, brr, 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 brr. I really didn't because it's trash. So,
it's almost better to have the guy in the basement do it, though. That's like being a painter, and then like fucking on the painter's off time he just goes around shitting on everybody else's every other painter's work, which is kind of like not the coolest thing. That I'm a filmmaker and kind of critiquing shit. Maybe I'll adjust course down the road and start loving everything blindly.
I just noticed in the comments we got somebody begging for the movie right now. So Duke, you're going to have to talk to Brian about this one. If you want a movie, you have to talk to him. We'll announce that next week, whether or not you win or not.
All right.
I don't even have a movie, man, and I'm in the credits.
Jared JT Tyler Roberts says, I'm pretty open-minded by films.
It's a good thing to be. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like enjoying more stuff. I enjoy plenty of crap. It's just that I got spoiled, I guess.
You can enjoy a movie and still give an objective review. Yeah,
sure, absolutely. Okay, let me put it this way. Before we even get into spoiler territory, I kind of enjoyed Suicide Squad, but when you ask me to review it, that's a totally different story. All
right, let's go around. Everyone,
that's what I'm telling. Let me put it like this. Let me put it like this real quick. When Brian says to review a movie, or if you ask Brian to review a movie, you better be damn sure to bring your homework, because he starts posting stuff on his Facebook that says, here's your homework for this week, and I don't know if anybody else does it, but I'm sitting there like, I ain't got nothing else to do. I got to do all this homework and compare and contrast these movies, and then read his comments. I'm like, yeah.
I think that's just a podcast. That's a whole other podcast for another day. The whole Civil War versus Batman versus Superman, because I think they're actually two very similar films with very similar sort of, their paths cross on the Venn diagram. They both have similar things to say with their films and their scripts. So maybe we can do that one day. Just kind of compare those.
What I'd like to figure out is, when does the summer movies officially end? Like, is there a set date when it comes to summertime?
Did it ever start this summer? I'm confused.
I don't know.
Usually it starts.
I always think that summer movies start around end of April, beginning of May, and then the season ends around end of August. So
it feels
once it gets to closer to September, once it gets closer to the end of September, October region, that's about when fall movie season starts. then you got the Christmas movie season.
Well, see, it felt like it kicked off in February, and then everything started uphill, and then it's just been a slow roller coaster of like, wow, I just need to watch the movies that I wasn't going to watch, and then I'll be like, why didn't I watch that summer? You know,
as far as 2016's gone, I think this is the most time I've spent in theaters in a long time, summer-wise. You know, I think I think the only summer that's topped this, that's come close to topping this, probably like the summer the Avengers came out.
So let's kick it off and talk a little bit about what the news is saying about Suicide Squad. Now, this is something I've been wanting to ask you about, Brian. Like, as a filmmaker, do you think that it is okay to objectively like go out and sue a person for giving you a movie that you wasn't expecting? Because I mean, I'm really to that point. I'm really to that point where I would love to sue everything about Ghostbusters. Like anything to do with Ghostbusters, I am totally down for hiring and lawyering up. Because
those of you who don't know about this, a guy on Reddit has come out and said that he is suing DC Films for false advertising of Suicide Squad, saying that the advertisements showed scenes that weren't in the final cut and showed things that, you know, there wasn't enough. He was falsely advertised that there was going to be more of this and less of that, mostly including scenes with the Joker. I think that was his biggest complaint was, they didn't give me enough Joker like they'd advertised.
Yeah.
So now that you're caught up to that.
It's like they did cut out a lot of the Joker, man.
I didn't think his part was all that necessary to the plot. I mean, I really thought, you know what, he was great as a character. It was a great introduction. Don't get me wrong. I love Jared Leto's Joker in this, and I think that it gave us a taste of what's to come. But I didn't think for a second that this movie needed Joker in it to be a successful film. And I think that overall, I mean, overall, was his plot point really necessary? Because, I mean, even in, let's go into some... I'm just going to go ahead and drop some spoilers.
No spoilers. Not yet.
Come on. Well, this is important to what I'm trying to say. This is what I already warned about spoilers at the beginning. So
okay. Here we go. Spoiler alert. The spoilers begin now, so you can turn the podcast off until you see it, unless you don't really think you're going to see it. So go ahead, Justin. Kick it off.
All right. So, really when you think about it with the Joker's scenes, I mean, a lot of it was flashback. A lot of it was, this is who Harley Quinn is and this is her relationship with the Joker. And a lot of that was flashback showing more of the connection to him than, more of her connection to him than his to her. And all we really get from him being in this is that, he's coming for Harley. He takes the bomb out of her neck, and then 5 minutes later she's back with the team anyways. I mean, if you really think about it, it was kind of, I mean, I'm not saying I'm mad or upset that he was in it. I wish I had seen a little bit more, but at the same time, I don't really think that him being in it beyond flashbacks was necessary to the plot.
I have to disagree with that. Like the Joker, it was fundamentally the only reason that people wanted to see this movie, because, hey, you got a new iteration of the Joker. The Joker is who you wanted to see with the film. Now, regards to the guy that wants to sue over the film, I mean, if you look at all the production stills and all of the behind-the-scenes pictures that they've captured from, the whole production run, like, there was no scene of the whole Harley Quinn putting a gun to the Joker's head. There was no him punching the roof like it was in the trailers. The whole ending cut that him showing up after the plane explodes with the burnt face, throwing grenades and stuff, not in it. So for me,
Jared Leto even said there's enough film that they could probably have made their own Joker film.
Yeah. And I'm sure somebody will make a fan edit of this. I mean,
maybe it'll be maybe it'll end up on the director's cut like they did Batman vs Superman, 30 minutes extra.
I mean, I honestly, they said I read somewhere today that they said there's enough different scenes in there they could have done 5 different films, so which cut are you going to choose? I mean,
yeah, that's kind of bullshit.
Let's chime in on you, Brian. What do you think?
Well, in regards to this whole guy, wanting to sue Marvel, or DC, I read the little blurb, his complaints. He definitely sounds like he's taking the piss out of it a little bit. You know, it doesn't sound 100% serious to me. But that being said, technically he does have a case because, you know, the previews were showing one thing, he paid, and the movie gave you another. You know, that also being said, that's fucking common practice and has been common practice in movies for the longest time, especially regarding first trailers, teaser trailers. You know, they're going to use alternate footage, things that haven't, you know, if the film hasn't been cut together yet, they're going to use footage that isn't necessarily going to appear in the final edit. You know, I mean, this is just a common practice that's been there for years. And with movies, really, it's a gamble at the end of the day anyway, whether you're going to like a movie or not. So you see a preview, you get a feel for it, you pay your money, and you roll the dice. So personally, I think if he is serious and he does want to go to court, you know, his lawyer should probably smack him first, and then maybe then go to court because they might actually have a case.
According to Reddit, his brother's the lawyer that's supposed to be representing him. So
there you go.
So there you go. Like, just go ahead and knock that out of the park there. But
I mean, if you're willing to go to court with them, I mean, really, you're going to court with WB more than just DC.
Yep.
That's another beast in itself. But I mean, it is a fair argument to make. I really was.
It sort of is in a weird way.
I mean, in a weird way. It's like it's not wrong. I mean, there was a lot we didn't see, and there was a lot. I had just these visions that this whole movie was going to be. You know, I for the longest time thought that the Joker was actually going to be the antagonist. Maybe he did something. He's brought a bomb, kind of like the Assault on Arkham movie. Maybe he's got a bomb hidden somewhere, and they're looking for it.
That's what it needed to be. That's what the movie actually needed to be.
Yeah, I thought it was going
to be. It could have been that, and it would have worked that way.
I think that it was. That's what my first thought had been. You know, I really thought that it was going to be more Joker the antagonist, and their big bad that they're trying to fight, but it ended up just being a bunch of spliced together flashbacks, and I was a little disappointed. But again, I go back to saying he wasn't necessarily necessary to the ongoing plot, but I thought that the flashbacks were really great with him.
Yeah, no, I mean, they were pretty good. You definitely got a sense that they were just kind of like hacked and chopped, and bits and pieces were taken and used in the film, for sure. There's also just a lot of plot threads that are left hanging in the wind. You know, one of the problems is if you have 5 different cuts of a movie, that means that, you know, not everything that was written is going to make it on screen.
Yeah, that means something's terribly wrong. Like, I mean, you look
they
at
did go for a reshoot.
I mean, like, you look at let's back up and trace it back to the Christopher Nolan films. The reason we don't have deleted scenes on his DVDs or his Blu-rays or any of that is because when he writes a movie, he films a movie like it's written. He's even said
he commits to it. Yeah, completely.
Yeah, and he said this time and time again, the Batman movies don't really have very many deleted scenes or anything that's really builds on the story or adds anything, so there's no point in putting them in there. That's exactly why we have all the Batman trilogy from Nolan that doesn't have any deleted scenes, and that to me is very odd because every movie seems to have deleted scenes except, I mean, well, if you look at Batman and then Batman Returns, like, I don't remember there ever being a Blu-ray release that had deleted scenes on those, but Batman Forever had a ton of deleted scenes, and I'm sure Batman and Robin did, but nobody wanted to see that crap. But you know,
we got a comment here. I'm just going to call him JT. The story itself was floppy, but still enjoyable because of the personalities were enjoyable. And I really agree with that. I think that really at the end of the day, this movie, what made it for me was the casting and the characters. I mean, every actor, in my opinion, nailed it. I think that they did a great job with the casting and with each character's portrayal. So I think that's what did it for me at the end of the day.
There's something that really bothered me about all these trolls on the internet. If you look at it this way, like the biggest complaint that I've seen about this movie before I even got to see it was, oh, Batman wouldn't attack Deadshot in an alley with his kid there. But I have to beg to differ for that. Batman is the type of person that doesn't care if your kids are around or not. And I mean, I even brought us a little clip to kind of sum up on that. And I just wanted to take a quick look at this, and you guys tell me what you think.
Ooh, I surrender, spaceman. Connor, what's wrong?
Out the fire escape, quick!
I'll save you, Daddy.
Stay back!
Now you tell me that Batman wouldn't attack somebody in front of their
Where's
child.
the Joker?
I honestly think that scene with Deadshot and him in the alley, I really thought that was a great scene.
Remember now.
Yeah.
Just because it showed us a more reserved Batman.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because you know what? I think that, coming off of... that's the thing. My biggest thing coming in was I was thinking, when is this movie taking place? Is it after BVS? Is it before? Some flashback years before? And they placed it right after BVS. And then we see a Batman land. And, had this been pre-BVS Batman, he would have beat the snot out of Deadshot right there. Would not have cared if his kid was there. But this one, we see a more reserved Batman who's like, look, I'm going to take this slow, and I'm going to start thinking about these criminals again.
And he did give him a chance.
He gave him a chance.
No, you do get the chance that he's being compassionate, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was a great character development that we got to see there, even if it was just for a split second there. We see a Batman who's a lot more willing to take a chance and slow down and see these criminals as humans again, because, I thought that was a great scene. And,
well, see, yeah, for me, like, what people don't understand is Bruce Wayne has always got some intention. Like, I feel like Suicide Squad's going to be one of those movies, if you watch back, if you hated Batman vs. Superman and you like the Ultimate Cut, I think an Ultimate Cut would probably benefit Suicide Squad a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
And the simple fact that I enjoyed it, but I'm on the edge with it. I'm 50-50. I like and I hate it at the exact same time. Like, there's a lot of plot points, like the stupid putty men that look like there's something straight out of the Power Rangers. Like, those villains were basically like the putties from Power Rangers. The weird looking Thor looking villain dude that looks like the Destroyer that they were fighting, that was the Enchantress's brother. Definitely a total knockoff of the Destroyer from
design wise, yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got to look at it this way, though. From a positive perspective, Batman, yeah, he would have probably attacked Deadshot, but you also, at the end of the movie, you do get a chance to see Deadshot sitting with his daughter, and who do you think arranged that? It wasn't Amanda Waller. If you watch the Batman the Animated Series, then you will see that even after Batman had completely done all the shit that he did in front of that child, in front of that dude's dad, he still went back and took his daddy in and gave him a job at Wayne Tech as Bruce Wayne. So, there's that conception that if you look at it and think about it from a fanboy's perspective, that Bruce Wayne probably went back and made the whole Deadshot spending time with his daughter at the end possible. Plus, you also got
I think that was more Rick Flag doing that. No,
Rick Flag was playing babysitter, but
they very much let you know that it's Amanda Waller. Like,
Amanda Waller.
There's a bit at the end where she gives in to their actual demands. She's like, "Fine, what do you want?" Like, she actually gives in at the end. So it is supposed to be her.
Who was like, "You want to play hardball?" And Amanda Waller gave her hardball.
Well, see,
I loved Amanda Waller in this film. Oh my God, she did. I went in. And I was like, man, this is going to be great. I'm so excited to see the Suicide Squad. I already know who my favorites are. And then I left there like, holy crap, Amanda Waller stole the show. I thought Viola Davis did a perfect
cut over
job.
here. Let's cut over here to Keith and let you get some opinions in here, man, because I'm sure you've got a ton of opinions.
Sorry, man.
Oh man, it's all good. The movie for me, I love the movie. It's I guess it was kind of one of the quotes I brought out. It made me realize that I'm in love with crazy. Watching Harley Quinn on screen and some of the scenes that Margot did, it was like I sat there. Oh, now I know why I like those girls that way. But the scene with Batman and Deadshot, that was actually pretty well because of the fact that it showed the kid what can happen if you do bad shit.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things
that.
where like me and Brian was speaking about it, and he was like, "Well, of course you like that shot. Of course you like the whole subplot and everything because you're a parent, and it's one of those things that parents would understand. Like if you had a big motherfucker come out with a bat cape and a fucking pretty much a suit of armor and shit just clobber down on you in front of your daughter, man." Shit, you be wanting to pull a gun out on them too, man. There's no getting away from that. But you also sympathize. Like that's the sad part about being a parent, honestly, because you go into a movie that has some kind of parental reference and something about children or something about someone's kids, and you're completely turned around on this edge where you sympathize with that character and everyone says, "Oh, all that Will Smith did was be Will Smith," but I mean, for me, he was more of this character.
I didn't think he was playing. There was a little bit of Will Smith in there because he's Will Smith, and you hired the guy for a reason.
Yeah, but he was dead shot.
I didn't see him. That's the thing. It wasn't like when I first watched BVS and all I could see was Jesse Eisenberg. You know, it was like I'm watching this and I don't see Will Smith. I see Deadshot. You know, he's a great action star in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean Will Smith. But everything he's played usually is a good guy, right? He hasn't played any bad guy characters, and he did a great job at playing a villain. Well, anti-villain, whatever, however you want to classify that
villain.
Yeah.
Forced anti-hero.
Brian, are you updating
like
your
Harley
Twitter?
said, we're criminals.
Am I what?
Are you updating your Twitters? Are you tweeting the tweets?
I'm
watching
tweeting like
comic
crazy.
book jerk. These guys know nothing. LOL.
It's sad. It's sad for me, man. Like I was not excited for Suicide Squad and haven't been since it announced, and I even forgot what date it was. But I was more excited about this podcast and hearing what Brian had to say about it because it's one of those movies that you enjoy, but you also know you're going to not really enjoy it as much once you hear Brian's review because he kind of knows what's going on. So I want to hear some of his flaws. Like what flaws did you have, Brian?
I mean, look, I thought it was kind of an okay, entertaining flick. You know, if you're a hardcore DC fanboy, I think there's going to be stuff that you can take away from it. If you're kind of like a casual moviegoer, you'll probably enjoy it a little bit. But it's just got so many problems. And they run the gamut. I mean, let's pretend we're just reviewing this as a movie. Let's pretend I didn't grow up on Batman the animated series. Let's pretend I don't know who Harley Quinn is or any of these characters. And I'm just a moviegoer. And I go see a movie where they tell me that they are assembling a team of villains to take down Superman, who everybody knows. You don't need to be a comic book fan to know who Superman is. And those villains end up being a guy who throws a boomerang, a crazy chick with a mallet.
That's a fucking excellent point.
A guy who shoots, a guy who can fucking shoot pretty decent. I mean, come on. As a movie, just looking at it as a movie, it's stupid as fuck. And I mean, ridiculously stupid.
I mean, do you think it could have been better if they would have just took a step back and not even included the reference? Like, yeah, we're assembling a team to take on Superman. Like,
yes.
Why in the hell did you you're gonna recruit a guy with a fucking boomerang? And
that line just ruined so much of that line just completely set the wrong tone for the movie. It just right out of the gate.
Also, the cut pan sequences, you're wanting to get in touch with these characters, and I mean, honestly, Elliot Serrano said it best when he was talking about the whole card effect, the whole bubblegum card effect. You get a card out, and it's got their stats and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Right, it's exactly like that.
And I mean that's cool if you want something that's like hip hoppy or something that's edgy, but I mean it's definitely a teen movie. Teens would definitely get along with it. But
I think so. I mean, I what I got from the film that I saw, because again, who the hell knows how many other iterations of this film there were, and how something as simple as different music can totally change a film. So judging just the film that came out in theaters, I think what they were trying to go for was something in between Deadpool and an Oliver Stone flick like Natural Born Killers, except they don't really do a good job at setting any of these guys up as bad guys. Like there's some like really cliched sympathetic angle to all of them, or the ones that are, you know, front and center. You know, I mean, show me an actual bad guy and put him in a position where he actually has to do some good because he doesn't have a choice. Like, you know, it's a little less. There's nothing to really. The characters don't earn anything. Oh well, they don't have a choice.
They got a bomb, and it's end up like Slipknot in the first 5 minutes of that film, or do good.
But they're all played sympathetically, and I can understand that. That's a lot of Batman
cartoon too.
That's a lot of the, you know, that's how they are in the you know. Oh shit! Well, I think we just lost.
We got a comment from someone. Who are these guys? Have these people ever read a comic book?
I was just about to say yes. They are. They are
man,
sympathetically to a degree in the comics, but again, you're talking about villains, and they're all pretty much good guys in the movie. Like,
I mean,
well, see, the biggest problem I had with it is the whole movie feels like it is just a pile of scenes. It's like, hey, we have a lot. It's basically how I write, produce, and edit my videos. I'll throw a bunch of scenes together, and then I'll mix them up into a bowl, and I'll mix them around, and then I'll get the paper out, and I'll be like, this scene goes here, and this scene goes here, and this scene goes here. Like I'll agree that I'm not the best editor or the writer or producer or director, but I know shit when I see shit, and like whenever you're watching a movie and the next thing you know they're blasting this song in the middle of a scene that doesn't need to be there, like it cuts the soundtrack off and everything.
I think I was a little annoyed by that soundtrack, I'll be honest. Like, it's great to have it in the scenes like where they're zooming out over the city, where they're like, you know,
once or twice use a famous song.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was great, like, you know, the scenes where they're zoomed out on the prison and it's playing, but then once you get in it and you're overshadowing dialogue, that's where I'm a little bit annoyed. Was my biggest annoyance with this was the soundtrack overlapping some dialogue.
It stood out way too much.
I missed a few lines of dialogue a few times because of the soundtrack.
Well, here's what I felt about while I was watching it. This is something you shouldn't think about while you're watching a film. But the whole time they would kick that music in and they would throw that music out there, the first thing that I would think about personally is they're putting this music in there to hide the fact that these are either reshoots or these scenes
don't work.
Yeah, these scenes don't work or they don't fit into the original story because it's really
or they're trying to change the tone.
Yeah,
I'm with BT in the comment section. Bohemian Rhapsody was used right at the end there. I thought that was a great use of it, but that's how it should
works,
be.
Yeah,
that's
how
you
want to use a song at the end of the movie. Sure.
Montage,
and it works with the characters, like individual characters getting a little bit of music here and there, like as they're telling their stories and giving their little cue cards and shit. It works, but then the next thing you know, Harley Quinn's changing to an outfit. We're jumping to 3 or 4 different songs, and you're like, "What the hell is going on here?" Like just turn the music down. Whoever's this is the first movie I've ever seen where I'm like, "Who the fuck is your sound editor?" Like that is their job to go in there and make that music float well. Like turn it down and you know, maximize it or whatever they do. I mean, it's their job to make sure that music fits in there. And, like, if you don't have a good sound production team, like, your movie's not going to feel right because that's what sets the tone most of the time, even when a scene doesn't work, like Brian said. If a scene doesn't work, you know, the music would set the tone for that. Like, you could take a movie, and like Selena's scene, for example. Like, you could see all those scenes that you throw Celine Dion in, and it makes the scene. Like, but you can't throw Celine Dion on everything because it doesn't work. And that's the same what I felt here, just throwing random music in there.
So what I think the biggest failure of this movie is aside from having the worst villain in history, I mean, it was just like, can we talk for a second about the dancing fucking enchantress while she's fucking spouting out dialogue? Because that was, like, amazing.
Yeah, but, yeah. I mean, the thing about Enchantress was, like, that was the first scenes with Enchantress that I seen. Like, why is this in the middle of the movie? Like, this seems like the Enchantress's backstory should have been like the setup for the movie. It should have been like building up. And chances are it probably was. But
Look at that! You're not even a movie editor, and you made a better call than they did.
Yeah, and it shouldn't have been in the middle. Like, yeah, I understand you're wanting to introduce the Enchantress, like she's going to join the Suicide Squad, but she should have been at the very beginning, setting it up, and then cut to Amanda Waller or cut to something.
I think what they were trying to go for was something along the lines of like Oliver Stone, Natural Born Killers meets Deadpool, right? And if you want to go that Natural Born Killers route, which is you enjoy watching bad guys do bad things, the angle they should have played more than anything was, and which they did a little bit, but it didn't come together at all. They're bad, but Big Brother, Amanda Waller, government, whatever you want to call it, is much, much, much worse than they are. So that by contrast would make them look a lot better. And they did that a little bit in the movie, but it's not really sold in any significant way.
I think that there was one time where they really sold that, was the scene where they're wiping hard drives, and then she shoots like all 4 of those people, cold blood, and then she's just like looking at the bad guys like, what, they weren't class clear for this, and then Deadshot's even like, you know what? You are a bad lady.
She should have been on Lex Luthor in Batman vs. Superman.
You know what? I think that was a perfect. Amanda Waller's always been the good bad guy, and I think that that's great for in the comics they've always portrayed her. Even the superheroes and the supervillains alike are like, I don't like that lady. And I think that's how she should be. And I think they did a great job. In the Justice League cartoons, we always got that feeling like, she pulls the strings, she runs the show, and she's willing to go that extra mile to get the job done. But this time they really got to show her how she is. She is willing to pull out a gun and shoot some mofos if that's what it takes to get the job done.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but the big twist in the movie is that it's just her own dumbass that's stuck in the middle of the whole fucking Enchantress takeover zombie thing, right?
Oh, they straight up Matrixed her ass and hung her upside down and stuck tubes in her ears and fucking found all the shit.
It was hard. I think the twist is where it got to. You find out that they were really called in just to save Amanda Waller,
just to save her, right?
When freed, I think that's where it starts to shift. A lot of people might argue that the twist was where the brother gets free, which, where was it mentioned she had a brother, and why is that just sitting?
Nowhere.
You mean the Destroyer from Marvel's Thor, right? That's what you're talking about.
I was that doll sitting on her shelf.
Action. Let's talk about the action. That was pretty horrible. Really? We're talking about the worst of the worst when it comes to close up, just quick cutting, chop, chop, chop. You cannot tell what's going on half the time when action is happening, especially that whole scene.
Really big fight scene when they have to go to war with those putty patrollers. I think that scene was very muddy because it was so dark. I mean, it's great. I get it. You're at night. The lights are out, and it's pretty dark. But sometimes I couldn't tell if that was their shadow or if they were just swinging the darkness or
Well, see, that's odd you say that. Whenever I seen it in 3D, and you would think that I wouldn't have been able to see anything, but I could clearly see the fucking putty patrollers. I could see them getting their heads cut off and everything.
I just think it's just
that scene where Deadshot jumps on top of the car and is shooting back and forth, and that was great.
That was great because it built you up, and it was like, he's just going to kick everybody's ass, man. Just go ahead and kick everybody's ass. But that's the only part of it, though. It does.
That's what you got to say.
All the action made it feel like
writing
it rushed.
Kmass.
All the action that I seen, man, it just made it feel like the whole movie kind of rushed. To me, it felt like the movie, they had too many scenes that were rushed together.
I gotta agree with that, man.
I think the reshoots really hurt them because it caused a lot of last-minute editing choices that I don't think were that smart. It's a great film.
Here's the problem with that. Here comes another example of studios interfering where they don't really need to interfere. Give us the movies that they wanted. We already hear people say that, hey, but I don't agree with this, but we hear a lot of people say if Ultimate Edition would have been released in theaters, people would have liked it a lot better. But I don't agree with that. People were set to go into that movie hating it to begin with. So if you released the Ultimate Edition,
there were some people, but I think there were some people that were not going to like it no matter what.
Yeah.
But I honestly believe if they released that Ultimate cut instead of the theatrical cut, the review consensus would have been a lot more favorable. I can't see how it wouldn't have been. I think you would have had people. Go ahead.
Go ahead. The thing about these things about these DC films, I am a huge, I'll admit I can be a fanboy sometimes, and I mean that in the most endearing way. And I think these films are really geared towards the fans. There was so many shout-outs and Easter eggs that were to the fans, and if you didn't go in already having some prior experience with these characters, I think that you really weren't going to appreciate this as much. Especially Amanda Waller as a character. I don't think a lot of people in the DC who weren't like big DC fans would know her outside of the cartoon probably. But I mean, I think that these films that are coming out are really geared towards the fans, and that's why if you're not already if you're just a casual moviegoer, you're probably not going to have the same experience and the same giddy feeling you get seeing these characters on film as the hardcore fans are. And maybe that's just the exclusiveness that's causing a lot of hate for DC right now, but that's how I feel. I feel like these films are really geared towards fans like me who love these characters to death.
See, I gotta disagree. I got to disagree with you on that, man. I think what DC was doing, especially with Batman v Superman, the Ultimate Cut, I think they were making a movie that was more geared towards general audiences than the DC comic stuff, because the DC comic stuff is really super like, if you know all these little hints, then you're going to have a super good time. But if you're with the DC comic movies, if you're a casual moviegoer, the majority of them are stupid. And
he's got a point.
That's what. And that's.
I think that's the case with any moviegoer in a lot of these superhero films.
Well, that's why you can't make
Batman movies.
Yeah, that's why you can't make a smart Batman movie anymore. Like, you can't make a smart Batman versus Superman movie, or people be like, that's stupid. The only reason Nolan's worked is because he grounded it in the real world. Like, hey, if you want to put on a bat suit, if you're a billionaire, you can go and be Batman. But these movies are adding Superman in it, and people are like, well, there's superpowers in it now. So, go figure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the DC universe, I think, was trying to go more towards, like, dark, gritty, real, let's make movies that are accessible to general audiences a little bit more. And I think Suicide Squad tried to do the same thing. It just failed miserably as a standalone movie. It's so much of what's needed to make it work is not there. Like, Harley Quinn's one of the main characters. You could argue that she's pretty much the star co-star, right? That's her billing in the film. Yeah, and part of her story, what makes her backstory so interesting, and what's needed to be there for her story and her arc to be complete in that film, is a lot of Joker. Joker is integral to her story. Harley Quinn exists because of Joker, right? So the fact that they sort of cut parts of his, performance out, including a really important scene, which they talked about, I think yesterday or the day before that, they were talking about it. The scene in the subway where it's well before the ending, where he shows up in the SWAT, with the fake SWAT team to rescue her from prison. He after the I guess the helicopter goes down, there's a scene in the subway where she finds him, or he finds her, and he's like, his face is partially burnt from the crash and everything, and he's like, come back with me. And she makes a decision there, sort of like it's the same as in some of the best animated series episodes with her and Joker, where there's a momentary decision where she's like, no, fuck you, I'm not gonna, this is bad for me, I'm choosing to not go back with you, which would have been great, because of course now at the end you have this really like iconic coda where Joker comes back for her again, and she's now forgiven him, and she goes back, and which is how it always is in the comics anyway. She wants to get away from him, but she always ends up back with him anyway. So taking that out of the film that's such an integral scene to her story and her arc and who her character is. Removing that, just I didn't give two shits about Harley Quinn.
I gotta agree with you, man. Like there is all this PC shit going on right now, where you got to be PC and you can't be a misogynist and you can't bash women or be a douchebag to girls. Like, yeah, the Joker and Harley Quinn is that situation. I'm glad
they toned down the abusiveness in this a lot. Like, I mean, they made it like it was a lot more subtle than it really is. Like, I mean,
they did a decent job of like.
They did a decent job, like, you know, where that car crashes and he bails out and does.
And totally, and that's a total Joker thing to do to Harley Quinn.
Well, see, I'm glad that you guys segued into that, because I actually composed a clip of some of the best abusive roles that Harley Quinn had to go through in the Batman the Animated Series, which felt like it was cut out, because I mean there was a lot of that Joker and Harley Quinn abusiveness that has been taken out, and that's what makes their relationship work in the comics and in the animated series, is the fact that you have that issue going on between the two of them. Like, there was the abusive properties that wasn't
there. And you see, the thing is, I think it's there in the film. It's just the resolution to it isn't there. There's no. Exactly. It doesn't come to a head. You know.
Maybe they're saving that for the Harley film.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe they are, but
there's rumors that Harley film's probably going to be like a Gotham Sirens versus the Birds of Prey, so we don't know that yet. But I think, all right, we got a comment from JT. What do you guys think about Captain Boomerang, El Diablo, and Killer Croc?
That's a good point. But before we jump into those real quick, let's take a look at this clip here that I've composed here. Now this.
Mr. J.
Now, if you see this, like, this is abusive for a cartoon, man.
Yes, sir.
Like, jerking her and dragging her and shit.
Well, Batsy, it's been a hoot, as always. But I really must...
Yeah, he's not a nice guy.
Oh my god, but Harley Quinn and Joker are relationship goals.
Yeah, like...
I have gone on rants with people.
Here's a part where people are complaining about, oh, well, she never dressed like that. Well, in the animated series, she's practically naked right here, dude. Like,
rev up Harley, vroom vroom.
Yeah.
Endo, oop, pushes her right off a desk. Doesn't care.
All up in her face, screaming and yelling.
Hey, like, she's like scared of him. I mean, come on. He squirts acid at her. You know what? He was like, if that had hit her.
Well,
he doesn't care.
I know.
And like, here's another one, dude. Like, this is abusive, I think, man. Because I mean, look at how hard she hits. It's like, that's gonna give you a black eye.
Cartoons, they can dig deep sometimes too.
This is stuff that was missing from it, and this is what happens when she does something good for the Joker. Gets smacked, dude. Like, when did you see that? I never seen any hitting.
And they totally got that in the film. I think they nailed that. Like, I do think the way that what was on screen, the way their relationship was portrayed, was true to the animated series. You know, her origins, and you know.
Well, this is one of the scenes that they should have done. Him pretty much throwing her out a window.
I think that they
should have been the
more
scene
on
in the helicopter, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was more focused on the love portion than the mad abusive portion.
I would say maybe a little bit, but I don't think they I mean, for the love of God, he tells her to go, you know, fucking dive off a ledge into a vat of, you know, toxic chemicals, you know, like, the abusive part is there.
But it's very minimal. It feels cut. It feels like they took a lot of it out.
It does absolutely feel cut. And like I said, I don't think the resolution is there. That scene needed to be there.
Here's a scene that should have been in the movie. Her pulling a gun on the Joker. Because this is a classic scene, dude.
Wasn't that a deleted scene that was supposed to be in it? And
it should have been in it. It should have been in it to build on the story that you know... that it's a crazy relationship. It could have been a crazier relationship and should have been a crazier relationship in the movie, but it wasn't. It was so cut.
That's what the core of the film needed to be. It needed to be more than a Deadshot movie. Really, it needed to be a Harley movie, and it needed more Joker.
what JT just said in the comments, was expecting him to be more negative towards her, but it's cut.
Yeah.
Like, and the plot, like, if you're going to put Harley front and center, don't put her front and center in a movie where she has to fight hordes of zombies with a fucking mallet, a bat, and a gun. Like, put her in situations where, like, she actually has to use the, you know, she's put on the team because she has to use her feminine wiles to, like, you know, deal with maybe like foreign diplomats or some sort of foreign affairs shit. Something that, like, you know, you would believe they would need her for, you know, not.
Or her skills as a therapist.
Or exactly, her skills as a therapist.
She's not a doctor, and she's not stupid.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there's so many cool, smart things they could have done. It's like Harley Quinn.
I mean, they played a lot. They did a great job. They did a great job showing her gymnastic skills, though. I mean, the way that she, you know, could did those flips stuff in a tiny space like the elevator. I thought that was pretty great.
Yeah, that was cool. I just did not buy her at all in this movie.
I think that it also goes. That's a good way to go into these other characters like Boomerang, El Diablo, and Killer Croc. We got to see a lot more of their skills, but I think that a lot of
I wanted to
there
see
was so much focus on hand-to-hand combat.
Here's what I say. So to hell with a whole fucking movie of the Joker. Just give me a whole movie of Boomerang and explain what in the hell he's packing that unicorn around for. Because I know there's there has to be an entire subplot that's cut out of him with that unicorn. Because
much more sense. I thought when he picked that unicorn up, he was picking it because it had like a bomb stashed in it,
or sentimental value. You know,
something to do with his kids or something.
Yeah. Or, like, even if that had just been the reason when he got stabbed in the heart, that's what protected him from getting killed, was that friggin' unicorn.
They just seen the unicorn worked in Deadpool, so they had to use it for this.
I didn't think about that.
That's what I thought. I was like, a shout out to Deadpool or something?
This is why we podcast, because I never would even I didn't even think about fucking a unicorn, and surely Captain Boomerang's not fucking a unicorn like Deadpool. But it does make
that one thing he did say something about what was it? He called it Little Pinky or something.
So is this a thing now? Like, is fucking unicorns like the new fucking
ever
cool
since
now?
Deadpool. Ever since Deadpool.
Maybe it's just a little shout out. I don't know, but I really think there was something we're missing there. But I really was a little disappointed by Boomerang, because we saw a lot more of his hand-to-hand combat skills and him using boomerangs as knives, you know, of course, and that's great. But I think we only saw him throw a boomerang like 4 times the whole film, and one of those. I
think I saw him throw it twice, and one of the times it disintegrates.
And not even counting the he throws it to use one as like a surveillance method.
Yeah, I kind of, that was kind of cool, but
it's a little just like I wanted to see a scene kind of like where Deadshot stands on top and is shooting like this. I want to see one where he's like throwing them left and right like batarangs, and
now, are you guys aware that the actor had no idea that, like, I don't know what they did, but the actor had no idea that the Flash even made a cameo in it. Like, he had no idea whatsoever that the Flash was going to show up. So they must have shot that in post or something, or did it when they did the reshoots, because that's pretty surprising that you have an on-screen role with somebody and then you don't even know it until you see the movie. Like, that's terrible. Like, I don't know how directors feel about it, but like, how often do you make a movie and then you just don't show the actors any parts of it, and you don't tell them what's going on, you don't tell them what you've changed? Because, I mean, it seems like actors like that are disappointed. Like, Jared Leto's completely disappointed that they cut all the scenes of the Joker out, because I'm sure he spent. I
gotta say, speaking of Jared Leto, before time runs out on the podcast, he was all right, but he was definitely, in my opinion, the worst on-screen Joker we've had. And I guess that's a bad way to put it, but he's definitely I don't think he's as good as Nicholson. I don't think he's as good as Ledger, and he's sure as shit not as good as Mark Hamill. So
I think that he wasn't. I don't think we got enough of him to really make a clear judgment. I
want to agree with that. But
how long did Heath Ledger take to glue you? How long? Exactly 5 seconds. The 5 seconds he talks to you when he pulls that mask off in front of the fucking bank teller dude when the bus fucking backs up. He has 2 or 3 seconds of dialogue, and you're hooked. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you a stranger, and you're fucking hooked. Leto, nothing. Nothing hooked me about his performance, dude. I'm sorry. He was all right. He wasn't bad, but he's the worst on-screen Joker that we've had so far.
I'm still holding out to see him, to see more of him, really, in my opinion, just because I get what he's trying to do, and I think that they didn't give us enough screen time to give him justice.
They needed scenes of him shooting up. That's what they needed. Like, scenes of him doing hardcore drugs. That would have helped. It would have helped.
Yeah, I think, especially with the look they gave him.
I got to disagree with you here, Justin, because Brian's making a good point. I mean, all we got of this Joker was we got nothing else. Like, the only thing that we got was him performing some kind of homoerotic move on some dude's lap. That's the only thing that we got.
It goes back to my opinion. I don't think he was entirely necessary to be in this film. Personally, I think that if you're going to put him in a film,
then you got to cut Harley out.
Well, then you got to make
no Joker, no Harley.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. I mean, as flashbacks, I think that it was, he was necessary to the flashbacks, but to the main plot of the story, if you had taken him out of everything except the flashbacks, story still would have gone the way that it did, except for the end part where he crashes through the thing and breaks him out. I mean, really, if you think about it.
I mean, honestly,
that takes almost everything away from Harley Quinn, though, like her whole story.
That is true.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it is kind of like Batman. I mean, nobody says, hey, without Robin in the movies, there is no Batman. But, I mean, I kind of agree, but I disagree at the same time. Like, this movie couldn't have held out without the Joker in it. Like, it couldn't stood up on two legs by itself without the Joker.
Like, think of it as a comic book, there are issues and issues that go on in Suicide Squad where Joker doesn't have to be in it, and she's a great character and she does fine. Same concept.
You're talking about introducing. First of all, you're talking about the first time Harley Quinn has ever been on screen. It's not like Batman. It's not like Superman, where she's in the public consciousness. So you can't introduce her without her backstory, and you can't do that backstory without the Joker.
All right, I'm not saying
in Arkham Asylum as well.
I'm saying take out all the scenes that aren't flashbacks, and then you don't need the Joker still. Establish him with flashbacks. The flashbacks, awesome, great, but you don't need him in the plot beyond flashbacks for it to still have been a good film. We established it. They were king and queen of Gotham. He's gone right now, doing whatever the hell he's doing, and Harley Quinn's with us now. She's got a bomb in her neck. This is why we have her. She's going to play ball or not play at all. And then she's there. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he didn't need to be in this movie. I'm saying that as a movie, he didn't need to be in anything beyond the flashbacks for it to have still made sense and been a good film.
That's a slightly good opinion, but I mean... But if you think about it this way, if all you got was the scene of the Alex Ross image with her in the classic costume,
that was great. That was great.
That was awesome.
But I don't think that would have been enough.
About that.
I don't think that would have been enough. Now, if you would have included that scene in the trailer, people would have shit their fucking pants, and they would have been like, "Yeah, I'm going to see this movie."
More scenes of that just costume actually.
More lawsuits.
They've actually
Joker was needed for her. That's what I think he was needed for her, because the fact that, from what I could tell, her whole motivation was him. He is Harley's motivation to keep going. Without him, she would be nothing.
That's a good point.
But I have to agree.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like Justin said, there could have been less of the Joker, but more of a funny, or at least laugh a couple of times. Fuck, I mean, you're doing the role of the Joker, but all you're doing is sitting back going, "Hey, I got my cane."
I didn't want him in this film. I would have loved to have seen more of him, but I'm just saying that
fucking Joker.
This movie was that he wasn't in it is kind of a silly argument, because it wasn't entirely necessary to the plot. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, this Jared Leto's Joker was more of a fucking penguin to me. He's walking around in flamboyantly colored costumes. He's not saying a fucking word. He's not laughing. And he fucking goes, "Hey, hey," more than he does any fucking ha ha ha. Like, that's a fucking penguin laugh. That's not a Joker laugh. That's a ha 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 ha. That's a fucking penguin laugh. That's not like...
I gotta agree with that.
They were going for the drugged out Joker, right? They were like, and I could see, by the way, like, if
modern gangster Joker.
Yeah, why fucking D. Antwoord is threatening to sue, because I mean they really are taking from that sort of like, you know, thug gangster lifestyle image thing, you know, and for sure the guy is meant to be cracked out of his mind, and he's meant to be, you know, highly intoxicated, highly drugged out, and I think for that to work, you need to go maybe someplace a little darker that you can't necessarily go with a PG-13 film. Like, if you gave me a version of that Joker where he's like in a fucking opium den or some shit, I'd be down with it. I'd be like, oh, fuck, okay. Like, I can roll with
it'd make way more sense. Yeah, it would make
way more sense. And it would make him more intimidating, because now you realize you're dealing with somebody who's just completely out of their mind in multiple ways. So that would have been really cool. But again, you're talking about a PG-13 film. There's no way they can show him doing hard drugs in a PG-13 film. And so you're left to assume it, and it doesn't quite work when you're just assuming it. I don't know. I didn't buy what they were selling me, you know, with this Joker. That said,
Wilson said trailers pushed him so hard he probably got rug burns.
So have you seen the Guy Atwood connection?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, here's how I see it, man. I don't know what it is about the DC universe, but we've got a DC universe right now where fucking Batman's strung out on drugs, and he's always waking up next to hookers and shit, popping pills, and then we've got a Joker who should be doing what Batman's doing, popping pills and just strung out. Instead, we got him just randomly shooting rappers and shit. Like, what was the point of even having Common in that scene if he wasn't going to expand on that?
So you could see that he was crazy. They wanted to show you
it wasn't crazy enough. It wasn't crazy enough for the Joker.
I don't personally think so. I mean,
Joker would have piece by piece removed his earrings, or he would have tortured him in some way, or he would have done so. He wouldn't have just got up and been like, bam. That's it.
I think their whole scenes in this movie was a setup for the Batman solo film.
But I'm not even really sold that the Joker will be in a Batman solo film if it's an original story.
Be at this point.
Well, it's based on according to what I've seen, it's going to be based on they're going to add the elements of Jason Todd into it. From what
so it's going to be like half flashback, and is it just going to be a flashback film, or is it going to be like set, you know, in what's ongoing aftermath of Justice League, etc.?
Yeah, they almost can't go back if they want to keep working. I mean, I guess they can.
I mean, unless you're. I mean, Wonder Woman's going back, so I guess we'll see how that does.
That's the most interesting thing for me. Like, with all these new superheroes, like with the Flash, are you going to go back? With Cyborg, are you going to go back? With Batman, are you going to go back? Like, is Justice League? Like, are they doing something completely different with Warner Brothers? Are they starting from the end and working backwards? Because that would be really interesting. Because that seems like what's going on with Wonder Woman. But does that mean that the Flash and Cyborg and Batman is all going to try to pull that? Because I would be more interested in seeing a Batman without gray hair than I would be gray-haired Batman.
That could be kind of cool.
I think that, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just saying, that could be really cool, going from, setting up this whole, the whole Justice League thing, and then working your way backwards, maybe before, I don't know that they're going to do this, but maybe they do like a Justice League Part 1 and Part 2, where like they release Part 1, then they release a few solo films where you're getting a lot of backstory, and then you come back to Justice League Part 2. I don't know that it can work that way, because it might put too many years between films. But it'd be cool to build back up to, like, if all those stories, kind of like the Infinity Gauntlet, like all those stories had threads that led back up to like a Justice League Part 2.
Yeah, but so far we've got Batman vs Superman, Suicide Squad back to back. But then we're going to have Wonder Woman, and it's going to be like set in fucking years.
And not only that, like,
we got Man of Steel 2 coming too.
That is true. They did announce Man of Steel 2.
I think I think it could work with some characters and not others. Because Flash, when in that cameo that he shows up, I think he said something like, "Do you like my new suit?" And so I guess he's established. Flash and Cyborg are going to be establishing themselves in the Justice League film. They're gonna establish themselves from here on. Aquaman, probably the same thing. He's been kind of a recluse his whole life, so I don't know, unless you're going to talk about, go back and show how he, the whole Throne of Atlantis thing, he goes from being a land dweller
cool as fuck,
to the King of Atlantis. Wonder Woman, you can go back because you kind of have to. I mean, in BVS, we're shown that she's been around for 100 years, you know, so you got to establish her. Yeah. So, I mean, I think with some characters it would work great, better than others to go forward, and some it would be better to go back. Batman, for sure, I want to see a flashback because we already know he's been established in Gotham for 20 years. What happened to make, you know, what happened with Joker? What happened with Jason? What happened? We all know those stories, but I want to see what led
up. Where the fuck is Nightwing? And will we get a Teen Titans movie? Give me a fucking Teen Titans movie.
I want to see a movie that goes aftermath of BVS, where we see this more calm and, you know, well, not calm, but obviously more patient Batman that we saw with Deadshot in that one scene.
I think you're going to get that in Justice League.
Yeah, hopefully.
So too. So that's what I think. It can work with some and work with others. I think that, I mean, who knows where they'll go. I, for the longest time, thought Suicide Squad was going to be before BVS because I really didn't have any clue how they were going to establish some of these characters being captured or, you know,
well, I think they tied that in at the last minute, though. Like, everything that I've seen in Suicide Squad seemed like they tacked it on at the last minute because, oh, Batman vs. Superman.
Speaking of tacked on, Katana, like, did they literally cut out all of her shit and just leave in like 3 scenes? Because it was like the worst thing ever. She's introduced.
I agree. Fucking totally.
She's introduced in like the most thrown away kind of way. Like she just shows up on the helicopter and fucking PG-13 RoboCop is like, oh, by the way, this is Katana. She can steal your soul with her katana.
Well, see, my thing about Katana is, and this is something I was going to touch on earlier. I'm glad you brought it up.
You never see her steal any fucking souls with her katana.
Well, see, I'm so glad you brought that up because I was thinking that maybe Katana. Well, here's what I'm thinking: Katana could be a sleeper agent for Bruce Wayne because that whole last animated series that they did of the Batman. What the hell was that? Batman Shitty Saga or something? I don't know. But Katana was Batman's Robin because they didn't put Robin in it and they didn't put any established characters. They put like Penn and all that shit in that. It's CGI and all that. I don't even remember.
Whatever the hell she could be,
but she had to be a sleeper
any
agent.
Explaining in the film.
No.
They didn't do anything with her. Like she shows up, they explain her horribly, and then fucking and by the way, her backstory is awesome. Like, it immediately makes you go, wow, this could be one of the coolest characters in the movie. And then they basically don't do anything with her until you see her, like, talking to her fucking sword later on. She's like, oh, yeah, by the way, what is it, her father or her husband?
Her husband was trapped in there.
Her husband's soul is trapped in it because she's
a great character.
I'm going to go ahead and drop this on you, dude. When it comes to Suicide Squad and Arrow, fucking Arrow's one Katana. Like just because they went through the backstory, and plus you got the same chick that was in the Wolverine playing Katana, and that would have been perfect if they would have cast her. But you know, it's exactly what you said, man. Like, why in the fuck was Katana even in the movie? Because they didn't give her enough screen time. She just shows up.
They didn't give her anything to do.
No,
they didn't give her anything to do.
No,
they didn't really have anything for Harley to do either.
Crush the putties. Just
Deadpool didn't have Deadshot didn't have anything to do either. He except for fucking be comedy relief and fucking shoot a few putty. I mean, like, honestly, like, what was he doing there?
I think honestly, Boomerang was a lot less used on screen than Deadshot was, and I think that, you know, I think you have your big 3 of the Suicide Squad: Deadshot, Boomerang, and
why the fuck did you put Killer Croc in it? He didn't do anything either. Like, he
swims once. He's like, and by the way, plenty of other people were able to swim as well, like including all the SWAT guys that were underneath that actually set the bomb off. Like, let me leave you with this thought, okay? There was not one character, as far as I can recall, that made a convincing case on screen for why they should have been there. Not one. Not Harley, not Deadshot, not Croc, not fucking Boomerang. Like, none of them.
What about Amanda Waller? Like, she had one person in the whole film. Amanda Waller.
Like, you need to remember better
they are.
Man, Slipknot had to have been there. Why? You know, he was just the best.
Well, any character could have been Slipknot.
I like that gag. It's funny.
Any character could have been Slipknot, though. I mean, they could have got like the fucking dude that looks like Lockjaw from He-Man. What the fuck is his name? Wait, was in Suicide Squad was that fucking? Damn damn, what is his name? The fucking shark dude. King Shark.
Let me put it to you this way. You know, you got a big fucking problem when the best thing about your movie is Jai Courtney. All right, end of story.
That's fucking sad. I don't know, man. I'm telling you, fucking Captain Boomerang was the highlight, and there was not enough of him.
There wasn't enough of him. That's the thing. I was disappointed, and like I said, I was disappointed that they. You know, he's one of the big three, and I thought that he was a really...
Give him his own fucking movie, man, where he gets... You know what they need to do? They need to take Jai Courtney, and they need to fucking add Captain Code and all the fucking Rogues Gallery and do a Rogues movie and have the fucking Flash in it, man.
They just need to let Berlanti and them do the damn movies from now on.
Fuck yeah. Just bring Berlanti in there, man. He's already established everything. Now that we got fucking Jeff Johns in there, dude, we're gonna see a fucking hell of a fucking DC TV universe. I can't wait for that.
Oh yeah.
Just you know, like maybe just take your time with the scripts a little more. That's all. You know, like I think Batman versus...
They were trying to beat Marvel.
Please explain to me how Diablo had been able to turn into this giant monster flame beast this whole time and never did it like the 7 times he should have.
Well, trying to hold back and not use his powers. But let's go ahead and wrap up the podcast for the night. Let's everybody give their final thoughts. Let's kick it off to you, Justin. What's your final thoughts on Suicide Squad?
I like Suicide Squad. I think that there's a lot that there should have been, but I think as far as characters go, every actor nailed the character they were cast as, and I think it was great. I thought it was a fun movie to go to, and as far as superhero theatrical releases go, I think this was tied for Civil War for me as my favorite theatrical release. I mean, I like BVS Ultimate Edition the best, but theatrical cut-wise, best movie so far this year for me.
All right, I'm going to cut to you, Keith. Go ahead.
All right, I liked the movie. It was great. It felt rushed in some scenes, but overall... If you're a comic fan, you're going to like it. If you're not a comic fan, you might be lost a little bit watching the movie, but you're still going to enjoy some of it if you enjoy the nonstop, all the action and being rushed.
I'm gonna go ahead and leave Brian for last. I know you're waiting, Brian, but I'm going to give it a 50-50.
I don't got much to say.
I'm going to give it a 50-50 score, man. Like, for me, I can't give it... If I was to scale it to 5, I'd probably put a 2.5 because it's kind of in the middle for me. There's parts that I hated the music. The music thrown in there randomly was stupid, didn't make any sense. The slow shit on the characters, they barely gave you any kind of reason for any of those characters to be there. Like you could have put King Shark in there instead of Killer Croc, and that wouldn't have even mattered. Katana got no role playing. The Joker,
Killer Croc was short.
Yeah, Killer Croc was like really tiny. I guess he's got a mutate.
He looks big when you're on a close up on him, but the second they cut to a wide, he's like fucking neck to neck with some of the smallest characters there.
Exactly.
Like, come on.
But I mean, you add that, and then you add I really don't like Jared Leto's Joker. I don't, whether or not we've seen enough of him or didn't get enough of him. I didn't like his just blah blah attitude. But I mean, as far as I can tell, I would probably watch it again if it's an extended edition. But I'm to that point where I really don't care whether or not I'll watch it again or not.
At least give me some deleted scenes. I mean, come on.
I'm more excited about watching Star Trek Beyond, which I still haven't seen yet, than I am about watching Suicide Squad again or in an extended edition. Even an extended edition or deleted scenes probably wouldn't hype me up on this film. So let's cut to you, Brian. What's your final thoughts?
What are my final thoughts? I pretty much agree with Keith and you, Aaron. I think there's some redeeming material in there for comic book fans and casual moviegoers. I think if you stop and even think for a moment about what's happening in the film, it falls apart like a fucking house of cards. It's probably one of the sloppiest superhero films I've seen since like Elektra or one of those
Fantastic Four.
Yeah, like one of those like just complete bombs that just doesn't know what the hell it wants to be. It's a big mess, but you might get some entertainment out of it. Out of a 5, actually out of 4 stars, because that's just how I roll. I would say I'd give it like 1.5 stars out of 4.
Ouch.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a total waste, but it's pretty shit. It's kind of a shit
so,
movie.
So I just got a pop up, dude, and I actually get paid Friday. So everybody's demanding that we do a Star Trek Beyond podcast. So I guess I'm buying.
I'll see it.
I'm buying some tickets for you guys, and we're going to see Star Trek Beyond.
When we going? Where we going? Let's do it. I'm out for a movie day.
I'm telling you, I got to buy everybody tickets, and we'll all go see Star Trek Beyond. Hopefully, it's at $1.
Brian, you.
No. Hey, there's Fandango now, baby. I can find the nearest location to him. And be like, which tickets you want, baby?
We should all Skype the watching experience and be like the most obnoxious people on earth in the theater.
Yeah, until we're all escorted out, and it's just like, man, why are you taking me out, man? I'm just trying to Skype my friends, Facebook Live.
Yeah, and then they play back the video, and they're like, well, they weren't recording the movie at all. It's just 2 hours of their faces.
2 hours.
A bunch of idiots.
I would just tell him this. I'm just doing the same thing as Shia LaBeouf did to every one of his films. Just my face watching all of my own movies. Yeah.
Oh,
Shia LaBeouf.
So you guys gotta throw out some plugs. What are we plugging this week? Let's cut to Justin. You always got something to plug.
Comics and etc. Richmond, that's a great store. There's one in Lexington too, but I'm talking about the Richmond one. Todd owns it. He's a really nice guy, and they've got some great pops, some great comics every week. You can request a pull list just from their Facebook page. So just hit them up, Comics etc. Richmond. So there's my plug.
Keith, what you got to plug this week?
Check out my YouTube. At Kmass 982 and watch for the unboxing of Nerd Block. I believe the Nerd Block this month is based on Suicide Squad, I believe.
Nice. Brian, what you got this week?
Usual shite at Rosenthal82 if you want to follow my Twitter. YouTube.com/WTFLOL82 for my skits and fan films. And I guess that's it. Facebook.com/WTFLOL YouTube for our YouTube. I'm done. I got nothing else.
I got to plug Harry Go Toys, man. Check them out on eBay. Check them out on Facebook. Harry Go Toys, man. That's my go-to guy right there. Jerry, if you're looking at me or you're listening to me or whatever, I'm plugging you. And then also want to check out Big Old Box of stuff, because sometimes you want a custom set box that's like Lame Crate or Nerd Block or whatever you want to do. With Big Old Box of stuff, you can go to their website and you can custom tailor you basically just custom tailor your own box. You fill out a survey of the stuff you like, stuff that you want, and he'll put it in there for you. And I also want to go ahead and give a shout out to youtube.com/comicbookjerk, which you can see all of the episodes that appear live here on Facebook the next day on that channel. And you can also check out Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, and many, many more when it comes to listening to the podcast that we're showing this week. So, Justin, Brian, Kmass, it's about that time.
All right.
Kick that disclaimer.
Before we kick that disclaimer, you got this, Justin? Because I'm about to put it on you, baby. Let's see if you can do it this week.
The following broadcast should be followed with one of these sections 106 in the fair use of the copyright work, including such as big subject copies, phenomenal of any other means specified by the section, for the purpose such as skeptic comics, news reports, including multiple.
You almost had it, man.
Man, it was too blocky. I would have had that too.
You almost had it, dude.
I'm gonna memorize this thing and then I'll have it. Brian, I hope there's no hard feelings about my yelling at you with these reviews.
That's what a debate's about, man. Like one of us is Marvel, one of us shit.
Have you ever seen Cinema Sins? I feel like you'd be really good at that. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, I have. I've seen it.
You'd be really good at doing it, though.
His fans are very picky.
Very, very picky.
You gotta
have a good time, guys.